The latest developments are unfolding far beyond the immediate combat zones. Instead of armored movements or artillery exchanges, attention has shifted toward airspace deep inside Russian territory. Over the past day, authorities reported multiple drone interceptions in the Moscow region. Defensive systems were activated. Civil aviation schedules were temporarily adjusted. This is not the first time such incidents have occurred. However, the consistency and directional spread suggest a coordinated approach rather than isolated launches. The operational map is widening. Areas once considered safely removed from direct confrontation are now part of the evolving aerial contest. At the beginning of the conflict, unmanned operations were concentrated near the front, targeting supply depots, temporary storage sites, and forward operating airfields. Over time, the envelope expanded. Navigation systems improved. Launch synchronization became more precise. Mission planning incorporated longer routes and deeper objectives. What we are witnessing now is not merely a longer flight path. It reflects growing confidence in sustained range operations. Long-distance drone activity is less about immediate destruction and more about persistent pressure. Each launch compels defensive monitoring, forces interception decisions, and demands readiness from air defense units. In this framework, the strategic value lies in the cumulative strain imposed over time. The capital region is protected by layered air defense systems integrating long-range interceptors, medium-range platforms, and short-range point defense assets. Radar coverage overlaps across multiple sectors. Electronic warfare units supplement kinetic capabilities. On paper, this configuration provides redundancy. Yet low-altitude unmanned vehicles introduce detection challenges. Their smaller radar signatures and flexible routing can complicate early classification. Operators must differentiate between potential threats and environmental clutter. Once a track is identified, engagement protocols follow. Assess trajectory, confirm intent, authorize response. If several drones approach from dispersed angles, defensive prioritization becomes critical. Missile launches must be justified. Interceptors are not limitless resources. Thus, the defensive response itself becomes part of the strategic calculation. An important factor is financial and logistical imbalance. A relatively inexpensive unmanned platform can trigger the deployment of high-value interceptor systems. Repeated engagements amplify this imbalance. Beyond the missile itself, there are maintenance cycles, crew rotation, system diagnostics, and replenishment logistics. Even when interception rates remain strong, sustaining continuous readiness demands resources. Drone operations exploit this disparity not through singular impact, but through repetition. Urban centers hold significance beyond military value. Defensive activations near such areas inevitably draw public and political attention. However, the distinction between perception and material damage must remain clear. Available reports indicate limited physical impact, suggesting calibrated intent rather than indiscriminate targeting. The emphasis appears to be demonstration of access rather than devastation. The implication is subtle. Geographic distance no longer ensures operational separation from the conflict. Air defense deployments are distributed according to threat assessment. Reinforcing one sector often requires adjustment elsewhere. If additional systems concentrate around strategic cities, fewer may remain available for industrial regions, energy infrastructure, or military facilities in other districts. This redistribution dynamic introduces strategic tension. Decision-makers must balance central protection with broader territorial coverage. Long-range unmanned activity can therefore compel difficult allocation choices without requiring large-scale destruction. Strategic dispersion may weaken concentrated resilience. Electronic warfare systems attempt to disrupt unmanned navigation through jamming or signal interference. Satellite guidance can be degraded. Communication links may be targeted. Yet many modern drones incorporate redundancy, combining satellite positioning with inertial measurement units and pre-programmed route logic. When one layer is compromised, others may sustain partial mission continuity. Furthermore, defensive engagements generate analytical data. Flight trajectories are examined. Interception timing is reviewed. Radar coverage patterns are adjusted. Adaptation is continuous. Both sides refine procedures after each cycle of action and response. Temporary flight restrictions illustrate an additional consequence: interaction between military air defense and civilian aviation systems. Airspace closures require coordination between military command structures and civil authorities. Even brief suspensions affect schedules and logistics chains. Although not decisive from a battlefield perspective, such adjustments demonstrate the broader systemic impact of depth operations. The air domain intersects with civilian infrastructure in increasingly visible ways. Operations near major metropolitan areas inherently require careful calibration. Unmanned platforms provide a method of applying operational pressure while avoiding direct pilot engagement or high-casualty weapon systems. Maintaining this balance allows signaling without immediate large-scale confrontation. However, as operational radius expands, so does the potential for miscalculation. Defensive misidentification or unintended damage could shift dynamics rapidly. Thus far, patterns suggest controlled thresholds remain in place. How long this equilibrium holds will depend on both strategic decisions and technological developments. Taken together, these developments point toward a transformation in the structure of aerial confrontation. The contest is no longer defined solely by high-speed aircraft or long-range cruise missiles. Increasingly, it involves distributed unmanned systems, layered countermeasures, production capacity, and adaptation speed. Strategic depth is becoming permeable. Rear areas require defensive posture. Industrial capacity and logistical resilience become as important as frontline maneuver. The evolving pattern does not signal immediate escalation or collapse. Rather, it reflects a widening of operational geography and a redefinition of defensive responsibilities. The coming months will indicate whether this dynamic stabilizes into sustained pressure or transitions into a more automated and network-centric phase. For now, one conclusion stands: the aerial dimension of the conflict continues to expand, reshaping expectations of distance, security, and reach.